Welcome back YouTube, welcome to another video. In today's video, the first time in a long time, this video is not performance based. For the people that have been following the turbo build all the way along, this video is not covering that. I am currently still waiting for intercooler. The intercooler is coming from America, so I'm waiting for it to come. So while I'm waiting for it to come, I've decided one thing I wanted to do for a while is some custom headlights. The main thing I want to do is I want to black them out with the car. Is everything black. I hate this plastic chrome stuff, so I want to get rid of it. So this video will probably not cater to most of the people that have been following me all the time, so it'll probably bring new people. So anyone that's new here, welcome. But yeah, the plan is, the majority of the plan is to black the headlight out internally, but I will be doing some other bits. I'm not 100% on everything yet. I'm going to do it as I go along, which you'll see in the video. But the plan is to put a bar in here, the LED bar, which will basically be like a white bar for daylight running light, side light, whatever you want to say. And then it'll actually be what they call like switchback. So if you put the indicator on the side, turn signal, whatever you want to call it, it'll basically then be sequential. So it'll have a sequential turn signal that will switch between being a white light bar and then change into like an amber bar that sweeps across. I have got sequential ones in the side mirrors as well, so they should then match. And then on the projector, I'm planning on maybe putting what people call the demon eye. So it basically shines a light inside the projector dome part to make it, and then you can switch it for different colours. Obviously, when you're driving on the road, I won't be using it, but I think I'm going to add that. I'm not 100%, but you'll see in the video whether I do or not. And then main beam, I'm just going to change to a LED main beam just to make it look a bit cleaner. But yeah, the majority of what we're doing is just trying to get rid of this chrome and the silver and go for the blacked out look. I did tint these before in like a yellow, and I did also thought about doing a smoke, but to be honest with you, instead of doing any of that tint, I would rather just leave the lens clear and do the insides black. So everything will just kind of be blacked out. But I have already took one light off and stripped it down, but what we're going to do is we're going to cover getting the lens off this and doing all the internals and that. So I'm going to get this light off and then we'll come close up and we'll start getting the lens off. So let's get it. Right, before we get started, just a little disclaimer. I'm no pro at doing headlights. I'm just going to show you the way I'm going to do it and the way I know best from stripping the other one and from ones I've done previously, but I ain't necessarily telling you the best way. There is a couple of things I just want to show you before we get started, just so you don't start doing it and then get to the end and think, oh, I wish I didn't do this. So the first one being is that, right, for a start off, you probably already watched other videos of how to remove the lens off headlight. Now, one thing I will say is when I did a BMW one and videos I've seen before, the sealant used is something called butyl, I think that's how you say it, butyl tape. You've probably come across it before if you've ever worked on cars where you've took the door card off or whatever to get to the window motors and stuff like that. It's this real sticky, it's this evil stuff. It's horrible to work with, but it does have one pro, which is when you get it warm, when you get it hot, it turns back to like a sticky liquid, so you can almost pull it apart. And if you've watched videos before, you'll see it when they pull it off the lens, you'll see like stringy bits all around where it comes off because it's gone soft. Now on these other videos, you'll see them say, put the headlight in the oven to heat it up, and then you go around with the tabs and you pull the lens off. When I came to do this, I did the same thing and it didn't work. Now, when I got further into it, this does not have, or at least mine doesn't have butyl tape on it. And to be fair, when I went over it, it does look OEM. It doesn't look like someone's opened it up before. It does look OEM. It does look like it's never been opened. This was bonded with silicone. Now, when you got it hot, it made no difference. It was still silicone. It still had, it was still the same texture. It didn't go soft. It didn't do anything. So you're still gonna want heat, but you're gonna want a heat gun. So if you're watching this video to try and cover a different car, you're gonna have to, it may not be the same. If you use this butyl tape, then you wanna put the whole thing in the oven and try and get it all off in one go. You usually have tabs and stuff. So I just did wanna cover that first. So one of the things you do have to do is, you need to lever I've re-straightened this as best I can. So you have to lever this whole lip back, which I will cover in a minute, you'll see me do it. But when you try and straighten it back, what you'll get is, even when you try and straighten it, you're gonna get some waviness in it. And sometimes, even on these corner bits, sometimes you get like a bit of a tear or where it's bumpy. You're not gonna, in most places you can't see this. There's only a small section at the top where you can actually see it. You could put a trim over it. It depends how bothered you are. For how much better the headlights will look, it's just a small trade-off. But it's something I want to cover first. So you probably will end up with this bit of waviness, not perfectly straight. The worst places on this are places you can't see. The top section here is the only place you can really see when it's on the car, and you can barely see it. So you probably only, this bit looks all right. It's probably just this little bit. So if you're going to be careful anywhere, try and be careful at the top. So I did just want to cover that first, because this outside lip, after you've done this, is not going to be perfect. And if you're not willing to have it like that, then I'd just stop now and just leave it alone. But if you are willing to have it, I'll show you how to get to this point, and I'll show you how we're going to get past this point as well. So for a start off, obviously this is just an eyebrow that I bought. It just sticks on, so we'll just take that off. So you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a hot air gun. You can probably use a hairdryer as well. I mean, hot air guns aren't that expensive, so I'd probably just go for one of them. You're going to want a blade, and you're going to want a couple of different flathead screwdrivers. You're going to need a Torx drive. This is a T25, and we've also got a T15. I'll show you them as I go through. So what you need to start by doing is, for a start off, there's these clips. There's these little metal clips. So all you do is you just want to pop a screwdriver in, or if you can't fit a screwdriver in, you can use it. You can use a pick as well. So you just leave them off like that. So you just pop them off. I'd get a little, you want like a little tub or something, somewhere to keep it, because there's some little screws and stuff. So you go around, there's one there, one there. So 1, 2, and then the one we just took off. So there's only 3 on it anyway, so there's just 3 clips on it. So you just want to go around and pop them off for a start off. This is, when we're going around the edge, what we're going to do is we basically want to do it in 3 stages. So you want to keep heating up a section, probably 6 inch or so. Just heat up a section, and then you want to get in with your smaller flat screwdriver, even like a pick or a little tiny screwdriver, or you can even use a plastic tool if you want. I find the plastic tools don't work that well, so you've got to get in a small gap. So basically what you want to do is, on your first run round, is you want to try and heat it up, and you want to peel this lip back. So you want to peel this lip back all the way around. So you want to go all the way around the headlight, and this lip here, you want to peel it back. Sometimes you might have to go back and reheat it. Doesn't matter. Go around, peel it all back. So what we'll do is we'll cover that now, and then I'll move to the next step. So in this first stage, you want to be going around the whole headlight, bending this lip back. You get this lip all the way back. I find it best to start on one of these edges where it's quite open. At the top here, it has like a lip that stands up where it's kind of hard to get around. So you can see the lip there. I know you can see it, but there's a lip there. Trying to get in and round that's kind of awkward, so I kind of started with the edges a little bit. So just warm a section up. Kind of good to like wiggle the screwdriver, if you see how I'm doing it. Just want to kind of like break that bond. You see the silicone and stuff start coming out. You can like keep going backwards and forwards and like rubbing it down just to try and like dig. You basically want to be digging the silicone out of the gap and just breaking the bond. So when you get to this top lip bit, you just kind of want to get in there at an angle and just do it like that. See, sometimes you do get a bit where it might tear the plastic a bit. You have to be as careful as possible, but unfortunately it's just sometimes you just can't get past that. It just happens. It's nice when you get a little roll going on there. What I do is, even though it hasn't peeled it back much there, while it's still moving and being nice like that, I'll just run it through just to break the bond, and then you can come back after and leave it up a little bit more. So you'll notice when you get to like here where the fit in it, where the securing bit is, it's more solid, so you just have to kind of get in between it as best you can and just bypass it if you need to. You can kind of come back to that when it starts separating a little bit. Right, So because it's hit that stop there and it's kind of hard to get in there, what I'll do is I'll just come back, switch back round to this side and start coming from here and moving that way. Right, so that's stage one done. It's going to look something like that. Some bits will be bent back more than others. You want to keep, if a bit feels stubborn, just keep going and come back round to it. The best thing to do is just go round and round and round. So stage two is not really a very big stage, and you can kind of just do it with stage one if you want. I've just done it for the sake of the video, just so you don't put too much stress on it as you're going around. So obviously the stage one was peeling this lip back as much as you can. The next one is to go down is to do, basically you want the, I haven't got the lens here, basically obviously the end bit of the lens that goes into, imagine it's like the plastic's like a U shape with the bottom, and then obviously the lens sits inside it. Next you want to try and break the bond where if this is the end of the lens, where it goes in, you want to try and break that bond at the end of the lens. So basically just go around again, pry it back more, and just kind of scrape at the end. When you peel it back, it's going to be hard to show you on the video, but when you peel it back, you'll see the end of the lens, and you just want to be going around the end of the lens, because you broke the bond on the top, and then you want to go around and break the bond on the end of it, and scrape some of the stuff that's out of the top at the same time. Just kind of generally go around. There's not an exact science to it. You're going to know better as you go doing it, but as you go around, you just want to be scraping out, trying to get at the back of the lens where it's sitting in. If it's sitting like that, you want to be trying to get at the back. Now you can don't do it with a screwdriver. It's also sometimes if you see a bit of sealing in there, it's good to like just get the blade and just cut it away. So I'll go back round now and break the edge, and then we'll move on to the third stage. So I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show you here, but what I'll do is you kind of want to go back like that and get the screwdriver so it's at the end of the lens, and then just go wiggle it again and go like this, just the same as you did on the top, but now you're just doing it on the end, and this peels it back even more. So you're just running down there, get the screwdriver lip at the end of the lens like that, and just do this and go down. Obviously again, when you get to the places where there's brackets and stuff, you're not going to be able to do it, so just kind of do it as best up to it as you can and then bypass it. Right, so that's it, I've done stage two. As you keep going around and you're doing more and more, you'll see it kind of peel back even more. So obviously you've done this top layer, then you've done the end. Now, which is the hardest and probably most awkward one, is you need to do the inside bond, which is the most awkward. If you hear any cracking or anything, that's when you just need to move along and just come back. The stubborn areas, if a bit's being stubborn, just move on. Just keep going round and come back, and as you separate other places, it will start getting easier. So yeah, the third one is, so you've got to try and get in and round the back like you did before, but then you need to then go further back, and you're trying to get on the inside of the lens, because obviously it's bonded on the top, the end, and the bottom. So that's what the three stages are: top one first, then the end, and then you could use a slightly smaller screwdriver if you want, and then as well you can use the blade. Now you've got to try and get to the end of the lens and then push that back enough just to get under. You don't have to go in loads, and again I find that a lot of the time going at an angle like this is better. So if you was to try and do a little demonstration, so if you was in here and then you would try and get at the back of the lens and then try and get it round so it's just under a little bit, and then just do that little wiggle and move along. You don't have to get completely in the first go, but just try and get under and round. It's hard to show you on a video because I haven't got enough hands, but you want to try and get like that, kind of at the back. No, so it's under, and then just work it along. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you need to go around 10 times. You're better off doing it, going around more and more times, and just move it a little bit at a time, just to release it. So I'm just going to go around and do that now, and as it frees off, we'll jump back on the video and I'll show you as it comes off. Right, getting towards the end of it, just what I wanted to show you quickly, some little tips. So say here, where this bit's quite solid and you can't get under, use your angles. So if you get round and like under here, and then kind of wiggle it down so I'm underneath the lens. I don't know how well you can see there, but see like you bet the screwdriver in and under there, that will just help break the bond on the underneath without having to try and get in this way. So just think about your angles as where it bends round, and kind of like the same here. Say if you manage to get under here and then just work it kind of this way. So if you get it started in one place, and then manage to get under the lens, and then you can just kind of like wiggle and go along, and then the same as here, like use your kind of angle to kind of go down there again where it gets hard here, where the thingy is, and where this bit is here where it's hard. You can kind of just get under in this big open area, and then get down as far as you can, and then just start trying to go down with the angle to just break it off, just like that, and then just like wiggle down. Once you've done that all the way around, you'll start noticing that you'll be able to lift it. Once you've got the majority of it off, you'll then be able to start just using a bit of angle and a bit of pulling, just to try and like break the last bit off. You will see little bits and bobs, but like I said, as you like going through, as you start pulling it off, you'll see it stretching some of the sealant that's still bonded on. So just go around with the knife and just keep cutting it, or you can use the screwdriver still, you don't have to use the blade. There is still some awkward bits in here, but it does get a lot easier. Some of these bits inside as well are actually bolted to the lens, so just be careful of that when you're taking it off. There we go. Just like that. Right, so now you're to this part. Now you need to start stripping down the inside of the headlight. So for a start, I'll probably take this piece off. So you've got a Torx drive here, there's one here, and this part will come off. This is clipped on this side. So I'll take this whole piece off here. You need to take your bulb out. So that's that piece off. And then this piece here, one bolt already there that you've took out, and then this one was hidden behind the piece you just took off. Pop that out, that's that piece off. Now, it depends if you're going to do this bit or not. So I'm actually painting my main beam as well, because I'm going to use the LED one, but this will kind of change the reflection a little bit. I mean, in reality, you kind of should be changing that, but I just think it will look it won't look the best. So I'm actually also painting that as well, and then I'm just going to use an LED one. It will try to change the beam pattern as such. Obviously, you definitely shouldn't do it off your normal low beam, but obviously with this being a projector, that doesn't matter, because it doesn't work the same. It's done internally. So what I did, this one's a little bit awkward. I looked at different ways to get this off. It's the way it kind of fits in. So what I actually did is, see here how it's on a ball with the adjuster. Instead of messing with the adjuster, I just popped it off the ball. Right, so that's popped off there, and then the little awkward bit you have is these fittings inside here. Is if you get in here, these are kind of popped in here. Just try not to drop it like I just did then. But yeah, it just pops out just like that. It's stuck on some little kind of tabs. So you just pop it off the ball, pop that bit off, and then that's that piece off. And that's pretty much it for this part. So obviously you need to get all this sealant out here. You can do it with a screwdriver. I actually had a thin wire wheel, which I'll show you in a second. So let me just go and grab that, and I'll show you how I cleaned in here, and then we'll move on to the other part. This wire wheel, it's quite a thin one. I put it on a drill and went in. You do have to be careful. It is quite aggressive. I mean, it doesn't really damage just make sure you don't like move and end up scraping like the projector lens or something. You can't do it all with this. I'd probably go around first with just like a blade, and chop some of it out. I'm not going to do it all on camera, but you get the idea. You can just go along, just chop some of the big chunks out, and then once you get down to the little bits that you can't get out, then use the wire wheel, or you can just scrape it all out. And then once that's all out, then go around with the heat gun, and then you can squash this back so it becomes like a U shape, like a well again. What I'll do is I'll show the other one that I have already done. So this was the other one I did. As you see, I've gone round and got all the sealant out. Some of these bits are a little wavy still. There's not really a lot you can do about that, but once you put the sealant in, put the lens back on, you'll be all right. Next thing to cover is the lens. This is how it comes off. This is all secured inside it. One thing I did just want to cover first is Although I didn't break either of the lenses, there was a couple that had like a little bit of chip on the end, which if you sealanted it back on, you wouldn't even see it anyway. But just because the car's like over 10 years old and stuff, I had a quick look on eBay, you can get new lenses. The new lenses in the UK were £45 off eBay, or you could get it about £5 cheaper off AliExpress. I just gone from eBay because for saving £5, I'd rather just buy them from the UK. In America, I don't know what the price is. As a guess, I'd say they're probably going to be like $50. You might be, I don't know how much cheaper it'll be from AliExpress for you guys, but in the UK, you can get a pair of these for 45 quid. So I've ordered them just to change them anyway. I haven't damaged them, but it saves me getting all this sealant off. I did tint these before and there's still kind of like a sticky texture to it. Plus the UV does attack them over time. So I'm just kind of thinking with like the age of the car, I might as well just change them for how much they are. So I am changing them, but you don't have to. You can just clean this off. I definitely would not use the wire wheel on this side. If you are trying to clean it off, I'd probably just use the blade and just kind of go across it like that, just to try and get it off, and just take your time, because obviously if you scratch this lens on the black bit in there, because it's going in with the sealant, you're not going to see it too much, but on here you're going to see it. So I definitely wouldn't use anything too abrasive on there. I'll just go along with the blade and just take your time and just chop it off if you are going to reuse it. So yeah, the next thing you want to do is you want to strip this inside part out, because we're going to be painting some of it. I'm not painting this tinted blue bit, I don't think. But it's just the rest of it. So what you want to do is, this is a little torque drive screwdriver. It is a T8, so you need a T8. It is small. So basically you want to do these little tiny torques over here. One at the bottom just here. Right, so once you've took the 4 T8 screws out, this part will then come out, and you can set this to one side. Obviously, like I said, I'm getting new ones, so I'll just bin these, or just keep them to one side in case I ever need them, but I won't worry too much. If you are planning on using them, obviously don't just put them on the floor like that, because you will scratch them. Then you're going to get left with this piece. What you want to do is, you do want to break this bit down next, because if you're going to be painting it, if you're not painting it, you're leaving it the same, you're just trying to do an LED, then just leave it in this one piece. I'm just breaking it down because I want to paint the individual bits. So what you want to do is, for a start, you want to turn it over, and you've just got the little tabs. That one off, like that. And we've got this one. That's it. And then tabs are popped off. There's some like bits that's kind of hooked into there. So then you'll get this piece off. See, what I'm going to do is, as I take each piece off, what I'll do is I'll show what I've already done with them, because I have got the chrome and the silver off some of them. So let me just grab that. Right, so I'm lucky enough to have a blaster, and I had some old aluminium oxide that had been used before, so it was literally like dust, so it wasn't too abrasive. So what I did was, I actually take this bit off, because obviously this is a bit where you can have the LED bar in, so you don't want to be painting that or scuffing it or whatever. You want to keep this bit clean. And then obviously I blasted it. Obviously that's what I'll also do with this one. So that's basically ready to paint now. This bit will obviously, like I said, this bit will have to get masked off and covered. So this is all going gloss black. This bit will be left clear. So that's them bits to one side. Then you're left with this part here. You want to spin it over. And if you have a look inside, in here, there's some little tabs here as well. So you just want to get in here, got one tab, and then get in this side and got that tab. That's it. And then you're left with this bit here. That is that. Again, in the blaster again. So these need brake cleaner and off, but other than that, they're like ready to paint. It's nice and smooth, it's not pitted. So if you are going to blast it, just make sure, don't just blast it with anything, because you will pit it, because it's plastic and that. So yeah, that's that bit there done. What I will also show quickly as well, what we took off before, is this is the high beam part, obviously the reflective part, again, blasted. You're not going to get the reflection like you did before, so it will change the main beam a bit, but because I'm upgraded to the LED one, you don't use your main beams enough. With that being mostly a show car and drag strip and stuff like that, I don't use the main beam an awful lot, so I'm not too bothered. But if you're daily driving it, well, you'll see at the end of the video how much difference it makes. But yeah, I've blasted that, so this one will get blasted as well. So now you're left with this bit. So one bit's easy and one bit's a little bit awkward. Right, so on both of these, you have these tabs where you have to kind of press them together to get it out. See, this is the easy part, and then the other side is the one that's a bit of a pain in the arse because you can't actually see it. So just do one tab and then kind of lever over the other tab. And yeah, you'll pull it away like that. This is the awkward bit. So you just kind of want to pivot it up and it will just pop out of there. It's not the best. So that's that one off. Let me just find that in here. So that one is this piece. I've done the whole clear bit, everything. I've done the whole chrome bit. So I'm just going to do it all black. So that's that bit and that bit. And then you're just left with this one. This one works exactly the same. So for a start off, get these two tabs. So just push the tabs in like that, get that bit out. And this one was the more awkward one because it's like the tabs at the top, but you can't actually see it. That's it, just pop it out like that. So then this bit would be this piece. So obviously that's blasted. Again, gonna blast that. Gloss black again, set a little bit gloss black. I wasn't too sure about this bit. It's kind of like a tinted blue. I was thinking about painting it, but I don't think I'm actually going to bother because it's kind of clear. And I think that when everything is like black behind it and black around it, then obviously with it being tinted, it's all just going to be very dark anyway. I mean, it's already kind of like a real dark, I say it's like an ever so slight blue tinge to it, but it's also really dark. So I think when everything else is black and there's no silver there and that, I don't think this bit will even be noticeable. So I'm not touching this bit. I'm just going to I'm going to clean it. Just going to clean it and put it to one side. These bits have been painted gloss black. I've also got some of the lights installed. What I've done is I've done some of the stuff on one, and then I'll just show you and go through it all. For a start off, I just want to show you it working. So I've got my side marker, whatever you want to call it. We'd call it like a side light. It's just your normal like white light or a daylight running light if you want. So we'll turn the power on here just so you can show. So this is what it does when it gets power. So this is just your normal daylight running light, side light, whatever you want to call it. And then it is switch back and it's sequential. So let me just put this wire on here. So there's your turn signal, indicator, whatever you want to call it. And it's sequential as well. So it goes and it's switch back. So when I take the power away, it'll then switch back. So that's that bit of the light done. I will show you in a minute. I'll turn it around and see how I fixed it. It's basically just stuck on. But yeah, this is it in operation. And then what I also want to show you is, let me just turn that off. So obviously this bit was done gloss black as well. That's where the main beam goes. I'm going to get a black LED main beam. You'll see later in the video. I haven't got it yet. I ordered it off Amazon. This just here, well you can see that right there. I'm going to show you it working in just a second, but that is the demon eye. So this changes colour. You can control it from your phone. I'll show all that in a minute, but I just wanted to show you first. This is what it looks like. When it comes, this bit's a little bit bigger. I have ground these down so it sits properly. So I'll show you a closer how I've got it fixed. So I ground it down a little bit here and here, just so it sits closer to these metal parts here, so it sits further down. And I've actually put little black Phillips screws through. There is some holes there, but they don't line up with anything. Let me just get this. So these holes on here, they don't actually line up with anything because they're too low down. So what I've done is I've gone like above it, so it kind of sandwiches it. It's solid, it don't move. And what I will show you on this other light, let me just get the other light. So essentially, it seems to work perfectly. See just here, there was one of these tangs. Well, these tangs are bent in here to hold this glass. So I actually bent this one up and then I had a feel of it and it's still solid. So you can do without this one. You can leave it there if you want. It does still shine light through, but it essentially looked like that before. So I basically got a screwdriver in, in this one, and I bent it up, and then once it was up I got some side cutters went in there, and then I just got we've got like a little belt sander, so I just went over to smooth it off, and you end up with that. So what happens is that's your little bulb there. So that, when you put this against there, that bulb essentially ends up lining up perfectly with this hole here. So once you screw it in, that little LED there that changes colour perfectly sits in there to then light up that dome. So what I'll do is now, let me just connect it up, and then I'll show you what it looks like working. Right, so obviously this is the projector part. This is the OEM Xenon. So the OEM Xenon, everything stays the same. This is purely just a LED light that shines inside the dome to basically colour the dome. So this is the kind of app you get. So first off, let's turn the jump pack on. So it seems to always start with blue, no matter what colour you had preset before. It starts with blue when it's cut off, and then when it comes on, it will go back to whatever colour you want. But there's loads of different modes and colour changes you can do. Let's go back. Obviously you have to connect to it because it's Bluetooth. So it's connected to it. So you can just go solid colours, white, red, green, blue, and then you've got this full spectrum here where you can, let me try and hold it to one side, where you can move it around, get any kind of colour you want, or you can just kick on the solid colours here. You've also got all these different modes here, like the flashing. You can change up the speed of the flashing, so it's slow, fast, whatever you want to do. Breathing, where it just kind of comes in and goes out. Strobe, this one actually looks like a police. Gradient, where it just keeps changing colour, kind of goes in, goes out. So you've got all these different stuff, and then obviously you've got the power button here, so you can just turn it off and on, and it doesn't affect the Xenon in any way. One thing I will be doing is you have to basically, you have this little controller here, and then you have a plug and you have an extension wire, so you do have to bridge it between both headlights. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, because obviously I want to keep the headlights sealed. So we'll see that later in the video. But one thing I will be doing is obviously the rest of the wires for like the daylight running light and the turn signal, I'll be wiring them off the factory wiring. This is what the factory wires look like. So this bulb here, that's your indicator, turn signal, and then this one's your side light. So obviously it bridges the gap on the earth, so you've just got one earth. And then you've got this kind of grey coloured wire. So the grey coloured wire is your side light. So when you're doing them other lights, you just want to wire them in. So that one goes to the side light. The red one, it will be going to the indicator bit of it. And then the brown one is obviously earth. So just to show you on here quickly, you've got the 3 wires on there. So obviously black, earth, red is your daylight running light, and then yellow is the indicator. So it's pretty easy. You just put the red, what was it? Yeah, so the red will go to the yellow, and then the grey will go to the red. I think that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then, so this will give you that, so then everything will just work like OEM wires on the car. There's no extra switches. But then for this bit with the Demon Eye, what I'm gonna do is wire this to straight directly to 12 volts. Not even ignition fed, just direct 12 volts. The reason I'm going to do that is, for one, when I said when you turn it off and then turn it back on, it comes on. Say if I've got it, let me just show you. So obviously I'm turning that on and off from the app, but then if I turn it off from the app but then turn the power off, when I turn the power back on, it comes on by default. So obviously you don't really want to be driving, well, I don't want to be driving around, it depends what you want to do, but I don't want to be driving around with these colours on when I'm driving, because it's just unwanted police, if you know what I mean, because you're not allowed to drive around. At least in the UK you can't drive around with coloured headlights as such, not that I'm aware of anyway. So I don't want the colour on, so it means every time you get in the car, if you powered it off like the side light or whatever, every time you turn your ignition on, this is going to start coming on, and it goes to a pre-set colour before and then switches. It's just a pain in the arse. So the good thing is, if I wired it directly to the battery, I'm just purely controlling it by the app, so I can just turn it on and off then. And every time you turn it off, you've got to like reconnect it as well, so you have to go back in the app. The second good thing is that if you wire it directly to your battery, I mean, in reality, I'm only ever going to use this for, like, say, photos, or if you're at a car show or something. I'm not going to drive around with them. So if you do it directly to the battery, it just means at any point you don't have to have ignition on, so your car could just be parked there. Your car can even be locked or whatever. You don't got to turn the ignition on. You can literally just jump on this app and got full control of that light there without having to turn anything else on. I don't think it'll drain anything. It's only an LED bulb, and obviously you'll turn it off and it shouldn't turn itself on because it'll have constant power then. So that's what I'm going to try anyway. I'm thinking of just wiring it directly to 12. I mean, if I have a problem, I can always switch it to an ignition fed one, but just in my head, it's just thinking if it's ignition fed, every time I turn the ignition on, that light's going to come on, where I'd rather it just stay off constantly unless I tell it to come on. So if I give it direct 12 volts, that should sort that problem out. So yeah, that's that bit covered. That's the demon eye. There's loads of modes and stuff. It's all in the app. Most of the time I'll probably just use solid colours and stuff. It's not something I'm going to really use much, but it's like 20 odd quid, so I just thought I'd put it in while there, and it all fits all perfectly. So yeah, I just put it in, and then I've got to wire it into the car, which I'll show you later on. But let's jump back to how I fix the other lights in the bottom, and then we'll carry on with it. Right, so this part in the headlight that I've done with the daytime running light and the switchback turn signal, this is what I've used. It's just off eBay. What I did was these can be cut down, but the bulbs, when you take the tape off, you can see the bulbs are there's every 3 or 4, I think it is. So when you cut it down, you'll be able to make sure the power's off, cut one off, and then you'll be able to see how many dead bulbs there is, so then go to the end of the dead bulb. These were 45 centimeter ones, and you end up taking a bit off. It's about 40 centimeters you want to be in total. So I take these end caps off because you can see them, and I haven't used the sticky back that they supplied with it. I use my own because I've actually got this side where you can see the bulbs there. I've actually got that pointing down, so I use my own sticky stuff. So I basically pulled this off, took that off out of the way. I took this cap off as well because you can actually kind of see it. I will show you on that one in a second. So take them both off. So you can see the bulbs on here. So if you just chop between there, you'll then, if you power it up to 12 volts, you can put it on your battery, whatever you do, you'll see how many are lit up. So you'll probably chop that one, you'll see another 3 are dead. So then turn the power off and then chop it to where the end of the light is. That's all I did wherever it was, and then that was the right size. So what I did was, if you look at these edges, see on that edge you can like see the bulb bits, and then you can see the bulbs there, and then this bit is going to be the edge that you actually see it from. These are going to go in a gap like this. So what I've actually got is, if you spin this round, that's how mine's basically mounted like that. So you can see the bulbs there, but then this, when you can see there, see the light strip, and then there's that gap bit, that's where you're going to see the light. You're going to see the light on that line, not that one. So basically you want to do it in a way that I've got them lights shining down, so these bulbs are pointing down, so they basically light up this, if you know what I mean. So I've got the bulbs pointing down, so they light up this area, and then I've got this end where you're going to see the light, so that actually is like pointed, so this bit's pointing out, so this is at the top like that. So essentially this one, if you was going to use this one, it'd be this way around. So that clear part there where the gap is, that'd be on your edge there, and then the bulbs would be pointing down. So you basically have it like that. Clean all this rich sticky residue stuff off there, and then I use my own like 3M tape kind of stuff, the double-sided tape. So you want to put the tape on this side, obviously wire it up as well, make sure your sequential things going the right way, and then you just want to stick it to the top of there like that. I just pushed it as far that way to the edge, so the edge of the light there is touching the lens bit, and then just stuck it up and just kept doing a bit at a time to make sure there was no gap between it. And then when it's done, you pretty much can't see it at all. You can see a like really thin line there of where the light is, so the light beam's there, but then the rest of the light from the brightest part of the bulbs is shining down into this clear area, and then obviously it'll just be black underneath, so this whole bar then lights up. So yeah, that's that bit done. I've got to do that on the other headlight with this. I am going to do that off camera just because it's awkward to try and record it, and I'm going to do the other demon eye. But I pretty much covered everything. When I fit the other ones in, I will just give another little overview, but I'm going to get the rest of these installed now. Right,
it's been a couple of weeks since the last clip, just because I've been doing some testing. I've been waiting for bits here and there because I have had a little bit of a problem to do with the CAN bus, which I'm going to cover all now, and you'll get to see the finished product now, basically, well, as close to. So first off, this is now mounted up like I already spoke about. It's on with double-sided tape. I have put some like plastic glue on as well, just to keep it extra secure, just to make sure it never falls down, because the last thing we want is that falling down while it's all bonded back together. So yeah, that's all bonded on there like I already explained. Wiring wise, now I did originally wire it directly to the wiring with nothing else on, and I had a problem. The problem is that when you put it back on the car, the CAN bus system, because it's not seeing enough resistance, because it does the bulb check, and I've tried with VCDS, you cannot turn it off. There's cold diagnosing stuff you can turn off, makes no difference. Even if you turn them all off, it still cuts it. So what I've had to do is I tried resistors, none of them could get them to work. So what I've actually ended up doing is I cut the original bulb holders back off, but I've put them back on. Now this isn't actually stripped right down yet. Let me just take this off a sec. So these are CAN bus LED bulbs. So I've got the CAN bus LED bulbs, which work, and they are the right resistance for the car, so it makes them work. So this is a heat shrink, just because I don't want to see these bulbs because it'll kind of mess it up. So essentially these are kind of just going to sit in the back. This isn't heat shrink down. I'm not going to show all the final bits, but you can see what you need to do. So I put heat shrink on these. They'll get shrunk down just so you can't see these LED bulbs. The reason I bought LED and didn't use the normal ones is because of the heat. LED bulbs don't get as hot, so with them being in heat shrink and being tucked to the back of the headlight, I just thought, for the sake of how much these LED bulbs are, but make sure they've got to be CAN bus. They've got to be CAN bus ones, otherwise it'll cause problems. So basically these are just going to be heat shrinked at the back. They're going to be tucked at the back of the headlight where you can't see them. You probably want them somewhere near there. You want them somewhere near this cap, so if any one of them ever blows or something, because if one of them bulbs blows, it will cut the LED off. So the LED strip in here won't work if one of these bulbs go down. So you just want to tuck it at the back somewhere here. Maybe tuck it out the back of the headlight at first while you're installing it. You could tuck it back in after. So this is where the wiring is. So as you can see, it's got both wiring. It's got the bulbs wired in, but then it's also got this LED strip wired in. It's easy to do, as in what colour wires you need and that, and then it's all heat shrunk and done nicely. So that's the way it's wired. A couple of other things I'll cover while I'm here is this lens is the new lens. I can't remember if I said before, but there was with this new lens, where these screws are, these little tiny screws, one there, on this new lens that I bought off eBay, these did not have screw threads in. So it kind of just sat there, which was a bit annoying. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but what I actually ended up doing was I got a 1.5mm drill and actually drilled down the centers of them, and these are almost like self screws, so they put their own like taper in. So basically I just drilled down there with a 0.5, and that's actually secured it on, and then you have that little tab there that's lines up pious fit less. So basically that's the lens. That's how it looks. And then obviously I've covered that before. That's the like demon eye. I did put some plastic glue around there just to make sure it holds and stays down. That goes, let me just show you how that's wired. So what I've done is I actually took a little gap out here. So basically that needs moving around a bit like this, but essentially that's going to sit like that. It'll come out the back. Need to move the wire a bit more, but yeah, that'll sit out the back like that. And what I've done is I've took some out of the cap. You can see there, I've took some out of the cap. You can actually put the cap on and lock it on with the wire in, so that'll just stick out the bottom. I probably will put, when it's all sealed up, I probably will put like a dollop of silicone there, just so it's sealed. So that's how that'll work. I'll show you that. I'll show you this bit wired up on the car as well, because you have got to jump each headlight together. Just wanted to cover that while it's here on the table. And then the only other thing is I'm not going to cover bonding it together. The video is going to be too long and you're going to know how to do it, but essentially you just need to make sure if you've bent these back, these want to be heated and squashed back together, so you've got this nice kind of well, like a U shape. Clean all of the old stuff out, and then you just want to use whatever sealant you want. You can use the butanol tape, you can use RTV silicone, whatever you want. Obviously just bear in mind, the stronger what you use, the less chance you've ever got of getting it apart again, so just make sure you do it right first time. The good thing is that, let me just find it. What I explained before when I was stripping it down, these headlights have got these little clips. When you take it apart, you'll see where they go. But the good thing is, if you need to go around here with all the sealant, put it in the well nicely. You don't want to you need to put enough in that it seals, but not too much that it comes out. You can wipe some of the excess away on the outside, but you don't want it squeezing on the inside. But yeah, just put that in, squish the lens down. Obviously it's easy to align it. You got this little tab here as well. Line it in, put it in, and then just put all these clips on, because sometimes you have to clamp them together to hold them together so they seal, but you shouldn't have to do that on this headlight because you've got these clips. So all you got to do is put the sealant in, push it in by hand, and then go around and put all these clips on. Once you put these clips on, the headlight will then be held together, and then you just got to leave it and let it go off, and then you can refit it to the car basically. The only other thing, so what I'm going to do is I'll get this together now, and we're just going to tape it together with some masking tape, just so I can show you on the car and I can show you everything working. And yeah, then that'll be the end of the video. So let's put this together with a bit of tape, and then you can see what they look like on the car, and you can see how they work, etc. Right, so this is what they look like. Obviously ignore the masking tape, that's just for now. I just want to get this video done so I can edit it over Christmas. I haven't really got time right now to be bonding them together, but you get the idea. So they've just got all the black insides. I'll show you how they work in a minute, but before I show you how they work, I'm just going to show you the wiring for the demon eyes so you know how that works. So I showed you a minute ago how there was the gap. So basically you've just got one control box here. At the minute I've just got it running up to the power there, but obviously you need to wire this in. Yeah, basically you get like a double. So both of them have to be done off one box, which is kind of annoying because I'm gonna have to run around the front. So you clip one here, and then you get a big long extension, which is basically gonna run around the front of the car and then go over to this one over here. Obviously I'm gonna tuck it all away. I haven't done it now, but I just wanted to show you how it goes so you get an idea what you're doing. But yeah, you run one wire for the other. I'm gonna put the box over here just because it makes the most sense, because obviously the fuse box over here where the power is gonna be. So yeah, that shows you how that's wired, and then I'll show you how to function. So let me just pull my phone out. I'll just turn them on. So that's with them on, that's red. You obviously, here's the app. So you can power on and off at any point when it's on direct 12. Obviously you can change them to whatever solid color you want. There's also multiple modes you can do. So you can go from color, you go over to mode, so you can do where it keeps changing color. You can do like different transitions, so it flicks between them. There's literally loads of stuff. Use strobes. So you can do all them. There's even music and microphone where it can like play off it. I'm not really going to use them. To be honest with you, I won't really use any of the other options either. I'll probably just take with like solid colours, maybe red, or I don't know how well that shows up. It's meant to be yellow. It does look yellow in person, but cameras don't really pick lights up. But not only can you pick the solid colours there, you can actually like move it around. So as I said, the key's not in the car, the ignition's not on, and that's how I'm going to want it. So when I press off like that, they will not turn on again until I go on the app and tell it to turn on. I don't think it'll drain the battery. I don't think. We'll have to wait and see. If it does, then I'll have to put it on some kind of ignition or some kind of switch or something. But otherwise, if you don't do it like that, every time you turn the car and turn the car back on, that will come on by standard. And obviously, I don't know about anywhere else, but in the UK, obviously legally you can't drive around with colours and stuff coming out the headlight. So I'm just going to do it so I turn it on myself. But yeah, that's how that works from the app. What I'm going to do is now I'll set it up on a tripod and I'll show you how the strips work. So let's get it set up and we'll show you how they function. So that's just side lights. They only do that when they start up. The battery's not the best at the minute, so they might flicker a little bit, but they shouldn't normally do that. So that's just side lights. So if you indicate, whichever side you indicate, it will do the sequential, and then when you stop indicating, it'll then switch back to solid again. I'll show you on the other side. Obviously, your headlights probably blind the camera. They just work like normal, the normal xenons. As for main beam, I've changed the LED main beams because they're black and they're LED to stop some of the heat and that.
and then I'll just try with the hazards. But yeah, that's it. So they're just the solid LED, they do that just when they start up, and then they just switch when they indicate, and then obviously you can use the app as well, so you could use the demonize at the same time if you wanted to. But yeah, that's it. That's how they sorted out. Obviously, like I said, the battery's not very good at the minute. This charger's not turned on, but when it's running and everything, these should be. They're only flickering every so often. They kind of sort themselves out. But yeah, that's essentially it. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next video. Merry Christmas. Peace.